Hey everybody, welcome back. Part number 7 and the final part of Tamiya's 48 scale F-16 build. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back to the final part, and we get this beautiful aircraft finished. So all painted and weathered up, and basically a few little finishing touches to do. Now the first thing I'm going to do is take the exhaust nozzle from a few parts ago, and I'm just going to add a little touch of super glue here, just in the back, and I push the end, put it in the back, and just spin it to eclipse, hold it in place, and that's the first step. So there you go, got the engine on the back, exhaust nozzle, the exhaust nozzle, I can't speak today, exhaust nozzle on the back, and yeah, the touch of super glue just to hold it in place. And there we go. So that's the first part. Next part, I'm going to go ahead and get the gear put on, and then we come back and add the ordnance, which we did a few weeks ago. So because we did the ordnance already, super easy, just needs to be super glued on, like the rest of the stuff. Alright, so got it on its wheels and got the doors on. This one's actually pretty easy being an F-16, it's just a couple of doors. So I've taken canopy off, and now you can actually see a little bit of the interior. The cockpit tub with the Quintet Studio is a little bit better. Obviously, you've got to add that seat in there. So yeah, so flip it on its back, and you can see we've got the wheels on, and the doors again pretty straightforward. Just remembering this guy clicks into the front. As you can see, we've got a little bit of overspray in there from the when we painted the aircraft, some greens and browns and stuff. So I'm just going to carefully go back in with some white and just spray in to clean that up a little bit. But yeah, there we go. Got decal, remember, goes on the inside. Wheels pretty straightforward, and it's pretty sturdy. Again, got to do that early on before you paint the aircraft, unfortunately. And I'm not sure again what happened here, but I had a bit of a misalignment, a millimeter out somewhere. My error, I'm sure. So I'm going to come back in, spray a little bit white in there, just clean this up, and then we'll come back to just weather these up very simply and easily with a little bit of wash. As you can see, I've blown in a little bit of white paint in there just to kind of tidy it up a little bit for some overspray. And just want to give it a quick little wash. Now, simple, super easy, using the same product. As you know, as I mentioned before, I have a whole rack of these Appleton paints. I use the same color every time, and tons of weathering washes and stuff. This essentially is a oil paint, which I'm going to make myself. It's basically like your AK, you make kind of weathering oil washes. It's basically just oil paint with a bunch of thinner mixed in. So rather than spending $4 or $5 on those little jars which dry out, just make your own. So using the same Starship filth we used neatly on the aircraft, just want a little bit of oil paint in here. You can see there just a tiny little bit, because we just need a small amount of wash. We don't make a ton here. I have tried making this in batches, and just kind of evaporates, doesn't really work out. So I just kind of do it as I go along. Take my enamel thinner, pipette, spray it in there, take my brush, and just mix it up. And as you can see, I want that translucent kind of color. I want nice and thin, because I don't want a ton of grunge here. I want a nice translucent color, excuse me, which you can see here. So I think it might be a little thick. Let's see. And what we're going to do is take the aircraft and then the bay here. Actually, it's actually perfect. I'm just going to dab it around. And what's going to happen is it's going to stick on those power lines, and it's going to kind of evaporate from the rest. And see there how it's kind of picking out the lines, and add a little grind color. Same in the nose gear. Just dabbing it around. As you hear my doorbell go, so I got a package, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. It's super annoying. Every time the UPS guy drops a package off, it rings my video doorbell. So anyway, so back to this. Again, not going crazy here, just really pick out some detail. And again, on the wheels, and the gear. And that is it. That is as far as you want to go. There's a couple of pieces, maybe in scale, I'm not sure if I'm going to bother or not, but little struts paint silver on the gear and touch up some little hand painting. Again, on this aircraft, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. So now that's done. All that's left is a few little lumps and bumps and lights and pitot tubes and the ordnance. So ordnance, remember, we're doing C, which gives us our follow through here, what we're going to add. That's D. And then obviously on the right wing, that's interesting, I'm sure it's up the underside or the upper side on there, but I'll figure that one out. So we're going to go through adding all the ordnance and which we pre-made, and that's my next stop, and then we'll come back and we'll add all the final lumps and bumps. So I've got the pods and ordnance on, and as you just saw, it took me a few minutes to figure it out because you look at the underside of the aircraft and it says put on the right wing. So as I studied it, it meant the right wing as the proper right, not right as the underside, which would be the left. That sounds really confusing, I know, but just study instructions, make sure I got them on the right side, which I did, and look into business. Now I've got to drill a hole for this guy, so I just cut off the tabs and super glued it on, and looking pretty good. As you can see, also I just added the HUD to the front because that was going to snap off. So now I'm at a stage where I can add it, and I've got all these sprues around me here where I've just painted up the final pieces like the pitot tube, sorry, the angle attack sensor on there. I think we got a few little things here he painted up, and we've got here a couple more little bits and bobs and a couple of lights painted up. And my lights, as I mentioned previously, I always paint the back silver, just give it a little bit of glare, fuselage color on the back, and there's a little one that goes on the back on the tail. So just really working way through. There's probably about 10 pieces left total to put on. Obviously I need to do the seat too. If you remember from earlier on, I didn't paint the top, so I need to paint the top and put the seat in, and it's, yeah, looking pretty good. So getting there, so probably about 30 minutes work left to do here, just get all this stuff put together, all the last few little touches, and then we can do a final reveal. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and work on this, and we'll be right back and show you the finished model. So we're done. It's been quite a experience because it's gone on so long. Normally I would get something like this finished in a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks, but with travel and work, it's taken me over 2 months, I think, to get this one done. 2 to 3 months. And then the third completion of the year, and we're almost into June. So slow going, but got it finished. And if I can finally figure out where to hold this without breaking it. There we go. So beautiful kit. Tons of options in this one. I went with this particular markings, which is the Block 32, 64th Aggressor Squadron, 57th Adversary Tactics Group, 57th Wing, Nelis Air Force Base, January 2008. Well, that's a long one. So there we go. There she is, done. As always, I took it outside and filmed a little video, so you can probably see it better closer up. So while I showed out, let's kind of talk about it. It's Tamiya, so it's a great kit. It just falls together, no problem at all. Did have some fit issues underneath. Being Tamiya, it's going to be my own fault. I had like a 1 mil gap underneath. I'm not sure how I managed that, but somehow in construction I must have messed up slightly. But nevertheless, we got it sanded and filled and looking pretty awesome. So tons of options in this one, like I mentioned. Went with this particular scheme. Tamiya have all kinds of interesting color mixes. I went with the same colors I did with the Persian cap, the F-14 Iranian, which I think this is supposed to replicate in terms of the marking. So went with Mr. Hobby colors, no problem at all. Liking how it looks, and went with some custom masks where, like with the Intruder, I basically enlarged the color call out sheet, scanned it in my computer, and printed out and created some masks on some Tamiya tape, Tamiya masking sheets, should I say. So masked it all up, interesting colours. This will take a little bit longer because it's camo on the bottom and the upper. Normally, you don't normally get a plain colour on the underside, and the upper side is normally camo. So both sides did that, masked it up. As always, did a pound line wash with Flory models, and then dark dirt wash, and then used neat oils to add a little bit of extra weathering. Didn't want to beat this one up too much, just add a little bit of wear here and there. And she turned out pretty good. I'm really happy with this one. No real issues, like I mentioned, just a few little fit issues, again, down to myself probably. Other than that, fantastic kit. Now, this, if you're doing an F-16 48 scale, this is a good one because you're getting both big mouth, small mouth, and the two types of engine in here. So if you're looking to build something different, you do have a lot of options in there, in this box. 3 or 4 boxings of this one, so again, this is the Aggressor version. And there we go, finished. Yeah, like I said, looking really good. The only, I could always like to mention some of the flaws, and the only issue really, this actually went together really well, as I mentioned. Only real issue on the underside have some white speckles. I initially thought maybe it was the XF86 spraying too heavy, but then I'm thinking I did spray some white in my airbrush, maybe just didn't clean the airbrush out well enough. But on the underside, just very, you see it very slightly, just a few little white speckles underneath, which is no biggie at all. But there we go. Obviously used the Quinta Studio set. Now I'll look at it for the canopy. You don't really see it with a tinted canopy, so better than painting it for sure. I don't want to take it off because I know the frame's all drying and stuff, because I just literally just finished it. But through the tinted glass, you can't see the instrument panel, so that's 20 bucks probably wasted. But as often the case, the Quinta Studio stuff, it's nice, it's super easy. 48 scale, fine generally. You don't really see it. 32nd scale, you see it a little bit more, and probably that's the way to go. But something like this, again, with that tinted front canopy, I can't even see the instrument panel there. So there we go. I could just spray the whole thing black and nobody know anything different. So anyway, did it, know it's there, and there she is, a beautiful aircraft, and another one in the books, and that's another build series complete. So thank you for following along. I know this one's been a little bit discombobulated just because, again, timing, I couldn't just flow through, been doing so much stuff, there's a lot of breaks in between, and also moving rooms. I lost my microphone and all that, set up lighting and stuff, so I really just had to kind of cobble this along to get someone finished. And then at some point in the future, when I do my next build, if I do another build series, it will be back to usual quality and standard. Just this one, I was halfway through and had to get it finished. So again, thank you for bearing with the audio and all the rest of the stuff. But nonetheless, no one finished. And looking around here, I have no idea where I'm gonna put it because I'm absolutely full. Even my bookshelf behind me, I got the Bengal Hornet there, which I just built. So running out of space. So I have to start getting rid of some of this stuff. But nonetheless, thank you again for joining me. Have a great summer, and I'll see you next time. Bye.